Okay, I want to start with thank you everyone who has joined our call today. We're going to discuss the OXZGEN product line. I am Beth Salamo, Director of Product Development. On this call I have with me Farshad Tafazoli, President of 5LINX, as well as a special guest we'll announce in just a little bit. So thank you everyone for joining our call today. So Farshad and I will get off to the recorded portion of this call. What we're going to talk to you about the OXZGEN line. Farshad, do you want to take it off with what is HDC?
Sure. Hi everybody, and let me start by we're gonna only take maybe 10 to 15 minutes and go through a series of slides that you'll see in a subsequent video. But really, the main purpose of this call is to make sure that you guys get all of the questions answered that you've been asking, in various formats. We've got a special guest on the call. Let me just introduce Rebecca Malter. Rebecca is a nutritionist, homeopath, has been involved in holistic and alternative medicines, running her business called The Essence of Life since 1996. She's an incredible resource, and on top of all that, she is a 5LINX representative. So everyone, please welcome Rebecca. Rebecca, say hi to everyone.
Hi, everybody, and thank you very much for that wonderful introduction.
Great. And so what Beth and I will do is we're going to go through a series of high-level topics as it relates to the OXZGEN line, and then we're going to open up in about 15 minutes for Q&A for questions you may have that we're confident that between the three of us and Rebecca as a resource that we'll be able to answer. So Beth, let's start first with a high-level HDC as an active ingredient. So folks, this is a really important point. I know some of you are referring to our products, our OXZGEN line, as CBD, but we've made a decision to strategically call the active ingredient in our products HDC. What is HDC? It's hemp-derived cannabidiol, and specifically, it's more accurate of a description as our product does originate from industrial hemp. And then secondly, from a branding perspective, we want to make sure that we differentiate ourselves from the products that are out there, and that we don't tip our hand to other competitors that may come into this marketplace in the near future. So specifically, Beth, why don't I hand off to you if you want to talk about some of the findings of the British Journal of Clinical Pharmacology and how they refer to the studies found in HDC.
Yeah, definitely. So in 2013, everybody, there was a publication, a review that was published by the British Journal of Clinical Pharmacology, and basically it stated that HDC possesses the following medical properties. So this is a documented resource. So some of the medical properties of HDC and effects that they actually have on us are, okay, and I'm going to apologize because I will probably butcher a ton of these words because, again, they are very scientific, very medical, and I'm not medical. So antiemetic, it actually helps reduce nausea and vomiting. It's an anti-convulsant, which suppresses seizure activity, which is great for people who possibly have epilepsy and other types of seizure disorders of that nature. It is an antipsychotic, which means it combats psychosis disorders. It also is an anti-inflammatory, which I know we've all been loving telling people how it helps with inflammation disorders and things of that. So it does combat those inflammations that somebody might have within their system. It's an antioxidant, believe it or not. I mean, I didn't know that until I did some of this research. And so it basically combats neurodegenerative disorders, as well as it's an antidepressant. And that's really important for people who have anxiety and depression disorders. So it does combat some of those disorders that are out there. And as well as it's an analgesic, Did I say that?
Analgesic.
Analgesic?
Yeah, analgesic. And it combats pain and pain-related disorders. So this has all been founded by the British Journal of Clinical Pharmacology. So that's really important to know that the product that we're offering to you and your customers is something that has been studied. We're not just throwing something out there on the market. We are giving you tested, products that we can feel comfortable selling to our customers.
Great. Beth, let's just summarize the products. I think it's important for everybody to know. Really, we want you to be comfortable with the 11 product SKUs. The OXZGEN line right now really comes down to 11 SKUs. But what's really important to note, whether it's the sprays, the tinctures, the capsules, the creams, they're all THC-free, certified THC-free. That's something that's very important, and we'll reference why shortly.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Beth, why don't you start with the tincture sprays real quickly? Let's summarize those.
Yep. Okay, so the tincture sprays, there are 5 of them, and basically the first thing I'm going to kind of just give you a quick overview is because we have a lot of people asking us, well, how do I take the tincture sprays? This is the right way for you guys to use a serving, as we call it. We don't call it a dose, we call it a serving, because this is a dietary supplement in this aspect. We always recommend that the bottle does tell you that it's good for 6 sprays underneath your tongue for each one of the products. But obviously, for you, we would recommend that you always start off, 3 to 4 sprays under your tongue for the first at least, a couple of days, but maybe up to 7 days. Then gradually go up to 4 to 5 sprays, again, a couple of days to max 7 days. And then finally you get up to that 5-6 spray range dosing every day. Why we say to do this gradually is because what might be great for one person may be too much for another person. So I may only be able to take 4 sprays and we'll see the desired effect that I want, where Farshad might need 6 sprays because it all depends on a person. So we want to make sure you take the dose that is right for you. So there is a little bit of trial and error for you and your customers. So make sure that you guys are always, just using that as a practice when you first start any one of our products.
Great. Rebecca, do you want to add anything as it relates to the servings?
I agree with 100% of what she said. The servings are personal, and it may not even depend on the weight or the height or the age of the person, but it's definitely individual and personal depending on how their system actually absorbs the concentrations of the of the HDC and other ingredients that are in there. So it absolutely is a personal thing, and you can definitely test yourself for that. And if you feel you're taking too much, you go back down a bit on the servings. And if you feel it hasn't had the desired effect, as she said brilliantly, you go up on those servings.
Great. Great. Let me just summarize. There's 5 different sprays, and they address energy boost, pain relief, sleep support, anti-stress, and weight loss. And if anyone's curious as to the active ingredients, they are listed on there. They're also listed on our website, which is OXZGEN.com, OXZGEN.com. As well, while you're on the site, I would strongly recommend you look in the upper right-hand corner at OXZGEN.com. You'll notice a blog. Be sure to visit the blog, as there are a number of good articles and references that you'll find educational. Beth, let's move on to the OXZGEN HDC tincture droppers.
Okay, so we are going to go to the tincture droppers. These are HDC scientific and clinical research sponsored by the U.S. government, and other research centers have underscored the potential to impact a wide range of health concerns. There are 3 different dosing or serving size strengths. We have a 250, a 500, and a 1,000 milligrams. These are all THC-free with natural ingredients, as well as, again, with the servings on this, we recommend you start week 1, you're going to start with half a dropper for, the first 3 to 7 days. Week 2, maybe move it up to 3/4 of a dropper for the 3 to 7 days. And then by week 3, you should be able to use a full dropper. But remember, it all depends on you. If you feel great at 3/4, stick with 3/4. If you feel, great at a full dropper, use that. I also did a little research, and here's a nice tip. You can use this instead of putting it right into your mouth and just taking it by itself. You can mix it into protein shakes. You can mix it in with just water if you don't want to take it by itself. So it's definitely something you can mix a little bit with some liquids that you might be taking immediately. So it's obviously you want to take it, within a few minutes after you've put it into the drink. You don't want to, let the drink sit around for hours, but use it as that so that you can, maybe make it go down a little easier if you don't maybe necessarily love the taste.
Great. And Rebecca, if you could add some color as to when would somebody use a 250 milligram versus a 500 versus 1,000?
Well, in my place here where we see people all day and for these types of things, I usually recommend the 250 for the average person who wants to stay fit. Not just for fitness, but it helps the body stay in its homeostasis, anti-inflammatory mode. It acts as an anti-aging. It's a general use for people who are pretty much healthy to begin with, but 250 can also be used for people with epilepsy and different types of conditions neurologically as well. So I think starting with that is the best way to do it. It's also the safest. And if we're dealing with children, I would take that 250, and instead of putting in the 6 drops that are recommended to make that 250, I'd probably go down to 2 or 3 drops depending on the age of the child and what their condition was.
And how does weight, the weight of an individual play into the decision as well?
Well, in a lot of cases, weight does play into it because the more tissues and the more cells that the serum has to get to, sometimes you need more of that. It also depends on the liver and the digestive system's absorbability and what state of fight and flight they may be in. But the more you take this, the more the fight and flight reaction goes down, the less, frightened your nervous system is, so the more you absorb and the healthier you become. I would use the 500 for people who obviously need more and makes it feel better, but when conditions get to be chronic or something like that, or let's say in between acute and chronic, that would be where the 500 would come in. And for the 1,000, we have a person, for instance, who's in a nursing home right now, and he had a very interesting reaction to this, which is fascinating, because his esophageal his throat was closed up and he couldn't breathe, so they wanted to put a trach in him. But we've been doing a whole dropper full, actually sometimes 2 whole dropperfuls of the 1,000 into his lips, which was dripping down the esophageal. And the first day, for 30 seconds, the throat opened and he could breathe. The second day, it happened for 45 seconds. And each day, the throat is staying open more and more and more, which shows how the 1,000 tinctures bringing down his inflammation and his fear reaction in his spinal cord to what his body's going through. So for him, I would say something that high is worth it, and it's actually helping to save his life. And we are using the OXZGEN Line 1,000, yes.
Wow, great story.
True.
Great information to know. Beth, let's shift gears and speak to the OXZGEN 25 milligram HTC capsules.
Okay. Again, these are the easiest way for you to consume your daily dose of HTC that you would like to be taking on a maybe regular basis. The bottle has 30 capsules, and they're veggie capsules, which means they're vegan for those people who don't want anything that is synthetic or what have you. As well as it is TH-free, all natural ingredients. And some benefits on this are it is an easy bioavailability for HTC with the no THC. So that's really important to know. But, it's just 25 milligrams. Rebecca, are you able to explain the difference maybe between the 250 real quick and the droppers of 250 to 1,000?
Yeah, according to, the droppers, the difference is the potency of these, HTC liquid and how it gets into the system. For instance, I don't believe that a 250 would do as much for somebody who had, let's say, chronic cancer inflammation or the esophageal, inflammation that was there. So I do believe that you need to go higher in this if there's a chronic condition or an emergency condition. And I think that's kind of important, because if you do something too low in a chronic condition and somebody's, let's say, existence depends on it, it's you don't want to give the CPR after the person's already not here anymore. You want to give it while they're here. On the other hand, if you have something that's more regularly chronic and just low level, you can afford to experiment with time a lot. And since it is all, approved medically, and the Mayo Clinic has tons of uses for it at this point, which they've designated, it's safe. I have never seen the only toxic reaction that you may have to this, and it doesn't happen in 99% of the people, if not 99.9, is if you take too much of it, sometimes it may or may not, because it's not even been clinically proven, to raise blood pressure or pressure in glaucoma. And for me, for something that hasn't really been proven, it seems to be doing a lot of good in those instances as well, because it does take down the inflammation of the circulation system, which actually lowers things like blood pressure and actually lowers things like glaucoma. So
and
that's my observation.
In the example you gave, you're talking about extreme doses, right?
Yeah, if in the example I gave, I'm talking about extreme doses. I would say everybody in the world, in my opinion, should be on this, just if nothing else, for the anti-aging effect and for the reduction in the inflammation and the balancing and the homeostasis, which it does to the endocannabinoid system. Because when those receptors go in there, the whole body goes, and it allows the brain to then signal to different organs and tell them how to balance themselves. And that is so important to any type of healing and any type of happy existence.
That's great information, Rebecca. I really appreciate it. I know everybody on the call so far is really appreciating that.
Okay, so let's shift gears to the pain creams. I know this seems to be, the most popular product right now. It seems to be the one that folks are the most comfortable just initially presenting OXZGEN with. Beth, do you want to speak to the pain cream, and then we can ask Rebecca some questions on the pain cream versus the capsules versus the tinctures, and when she recommends each for pain.
Yeah, definitely. The pain cream, as we all know, it's a topical cream. It's something that you or your customer who uses it is going to, you're going to put it on a joint, on your muscle area where you've got some pain that maybe isn't going quite as deep, but something more topical. It gives that nice heat penetration. It's got a nice emu oil soothing and hemp-derived HDC recovery support in the cream. So it really does, it doesn't obviously permanently correct any inflammation or anything like that, but it gives you at least some relief from whatever is ailing you in your joints and muscles. And again, it's a nice, because of the way the cream works, it actually works relatively, don't want to say fast, but it does work within a timely fashion. So it's not like you put it on and you don't feel results for 4 hours. You feel results usually within 20 to 30 minutes, you'll feel some kind of result, be it, drastic or even just a little bit. It does relieve some. Rebecca, I know you've actually worked with a few people using this. Can you explain how you saw the three products work together?
Yes, absolutely. We have a person who used this who had a chronic skin condition for many years and could never get rid of it. And I asked him to try this because it also gave him pain and itching. And it didn't relieve the pain and itch immediately, but what happened is I told him to be persistent. And after a week, not only were the pain and itching gone, but 90% or maybe 98% of the skin inflammation itself is now gone. And we have pictures to prove this. And he's also taking the 500 HDC drops as well, because I feel that working internally is just as important as working externally, especially when you have something that's coming from the inside.
Great. So that's a lot of the confusion is if someone comes to you and says they have pain, when do you recommend use the tincture or use the spray or use the capsules or use the pain cream? There's confusion there, and if you could walk us through that.
Of course. Well, personally, in my opinion, pain has always originally come from internally. That is, unless you're hit by something on the head or you're punched by something in the arm or you fall down and have an accident. And if it's originally from internal, like arthritis or inflammation in the system, you always go for a tincture or a spray, depending on how old the person is. I think the younger kids prefer the sprays because they're more fun, and the adults prefer the tinctures. And I find the tinctures to be a bit more powerful also because they have higher concentrations. And I would also give them an external help with the immediate problem. And they like that combination. They like to do it all together. If a person has just been hit, I would still actually do both because the topical would help the manifestation of what happened, and putting the HDC inside their bodies also helps their inflammation and their shock response to the accident. So it still calms down the neurological system, which, of course, then expedites the healing.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for that information. All right, and before we open up for Q&A, Beth, let's finally cover the OXZGEN Rescue Moisturizing Cream.
Okay, yeah, definitely. This is one I know a lot of the ladies will really love because it does have collagen in it, which definitely gives intense moisture to help increase the skin elasticity. So for those of us who want to start trying to help, reduce some of those fine lines and, just overall make themselves feel like they've got a more youthful look, it definitely helps with that. I've heard people tell me it also has helped with some skin conditions, just like Rebecca was talking with the other creams. So I've heard it's good for eczema, things like that as well in some people. So it's just got the right mix of ingredients to give us that, overall, as it's called, Rescue Moisturizing Cream. So it's an overall product.
Great. Thanks, Beth. So let me provide the website and the phone number for OXZGEN again, just so everybody has this. OXZGEN's website is OXZGEN.com. Again, OXZGEN.com. Yes, the site is live. For those of you that obviously have been placing orders, PayPal and credit cards are accepted on the site for one-time payments. We're expecting shortly to have the ability for recurring shipments and subscriptions to go live as well. We'll provide an update there. Again, OXZGEN.com, OXZGEN.com. While you're there, be sure to visit the blog. You can get there by pushing the upper right-hand button that's titled Blog. And then the phone number for OXZGEN support is 1-844-5-OXZGEN, OXZGEN. And that spells out 844-569-9436. All right, so with that, let's...
Can I ask you a question?
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Can I just expand on the moisturizing cream for 1 second?
Oh, sure, definitely.
We have had what I would call amazing results with that, and I mean like amazing. I had this woman, for instance, and I'm going to make this quick. She had a rash on her hand, yeast fungus rash. She went to about probably 50 different healers already. You know Diana. Anyway, the point, well, you don't know Diana, but that's okay. Someone here does. And she didn't want to try this at first because she thought it was another one of those, okay, I'm going to put this on and nothing's going to happen things. So I squirted her as she went out the door. I get a call an hour later saying, what the heck is in this stuff? My palms are clear. And she works with her hands. She's a therapist. She came running over here within 20 minutes to buy a jar.
Wow.
And that's just one of about 5 examples I've had of the same experience with that stuff. It doesn't feel like much, except it feels wonderful and emollient, and it smells great, and it's clean, but boy, does that work fast.
Wow, that's
amazing.
Great.
Unbelievably amazing.
Yeah, so for those of you who have not tried the Rescue Cream, definitely be sure you order a sample for yourself and try it for yourself and demo it. The results are impressive.
I know they are. I've seen it.
Okay, Farshad, I know we have a couple of Q&A questions up front that we wanted to ask Rebecca specifically before we even open it up to the Q&A, which real quick, if you guys did not hear me say at the beginning of this call, hit *6 if you'd like to be added to the queue to ask a question. We do have a limited time for the question, so I will apologize in advance if we can't get everybody's questions. Rebecca, real quick, one of the first questions we've been asked a million times, and I know you're going to answer it for me to the most scientific reason you can. If somebody who's taking any one of our OXZGEN products, which are HDC and THC free, are they going to pass a drug test?
Yes, you will pass the drug test as not having drugs in your system. I wanted to make that clear. And the reason is very simple. If you take a test for showing if you've eaten an apple and you've eaten an apple, it will come up positive. If you haven't eaten an apple, it will come up negative. The tests that they give are for THC and at much greater amounts than is out there in any way. You will definitely come up clear in a drug test with this product. There's no question about that.
Okay, great. Another question we've been hearing a lot from our representatives is OXZGEN legal? And I get why they ask this, because everybody's so, worried about what, anything that, comes from, this type of a plant. So can you explain to them why this is considered a legal product?
It's considered a legal product because the levels of THC are so low that they're not even detectable. It's legal to ship in every single state. That is our HDC is. Most CBDs out there are not legal to ship in every state. They're not, because there are states that have higher restrictions or lower restrictions than others do. But our HDC is legal in every one of the United States in this country.
Perfect. Okay, one more question I have that a lot of people have asked is, what is the exact difference between HDC and THC?
That's a fun one. Okay, they may want to take some notes with this, but I'll try to do as fast as possible because I know we have limited time. Okay, THC eases pain, helps with relaxation, suppresses pain, reduces risk of nerve damage, muscle spasms, convulsions, as you said, which has to do with epilepsy, because epilepsy is actually a digestive issue more than a brain issue, because the large intestines is the brain, okay? The point is that there's no difference between what both of these things do, except for the fact that the THC, depending on which one you're using, sativa or indica, indica will make you slow as molasses and make you seem goofy sometimes and put you to sleep, which this doesn't have in it because it's a THC. And sativa will make you run around like Speedy Gonzales because it's a brain clarifier, and most people who are on sativa think they're the world's greatest thing, and they think they're great, and they think they're brilliant, at least temporarily until it wears off. But it also makes you move very quickly. Those things are not in this formula, which means you will not have those effects. But the biggest thing for CBD, or actually HDC, especially with us, because we can ship this anywhere and no one else can, is that it does homeostasis by inflammatory or inflammation reducing, which is exactly what every single list on the THC does, except for the hallucinogenics and the personality disorders.
That's a great explanation. So
and that's the reality. And that's why the cancer, and that's why everything else, because we have the same properties, in fact, even more than just taking THC would. In fact, THC can change your personality. This will not. Well, except if you're psychotic, then it'll help you relax and, be more focused.
It'll do the right change.
It'll do the right changes, not the wrong changes. You will not change who you are. You will become a better you.
That's great information. So here's my last question before I open it up to all of our reps. And actually, a rep did email me this one specifically the other day. And basically what he's asking is, what is the maximum serving that someone can be taking per day for example, if they're using 1,000 milligrams of the tincture and a couple of the different sprays and maybe some of the pain cream, is there a safe limit of HDC?
Actually, the funny answer to that is it's considered a food supplement, and you really can take as much as you would like as long as it's not detecting with a high blood pressure or something like that on you. We have that person in the hospital who's in his late 80s taking 2 to 3 full dropperfuls a day, and the pills and the sprays, and he's opening his throat and becoming healthier every day. And according to research in the Mayo Clinic and other institutions, there's no overdosing with this as far as I've seen. I mean, that's according to those institutions.
Well,
and
that's great.
Yeah, it's a food substance, and if you drink too much water, yeah, you can get waterlogged, but you have to use common sense. If you feel like you have too much pressure on you, you lower it. It's like if you eat too much, you get a bellyache, so next time you don't eat so much.
No, definitely. That's exactly what we needed to be able to let our reps know and they can understand. So what I'm going to do now, Rebecca, is I'm going to open this call up to some of our reps who are on the phone. Our very first rep who we have to ask a question from is going to be Daryl Huckabee. I believe, Daryl, your phone number ends 7127.
Hi,
Daryl, are you there? Hey, Daryl.
Hello, Daryl.
Yeah, good. Good afternoon. I believe you just answered my question about can you take too much in terms of the tincture drops. So if you have a healthy person that has really no ailments, how do you determine between, 250, 500, or 1,000? And if you do 1,000,
well, I mean, personally, my way of determining it would be different than your way of determining it because I do it through energy testing, and that's not what the scientific community considers real, even though it's got a 90% more accuracy than everything else out there, including blood tests. But, I mean, I personally feel that if you use what's on the bottle as a, recommendation and you go with that and you want to increase it, if it doesn't make you feel any better, why are you wasting your money? I mean, if you feel fine the way you're doing it or whatever the top serving that you had was that makes you feel great, I would go along with that. But knowing that there's nothing that can hurt you in this, I think would mean that you're free to experiment with it. And, if you find something after consuming your 50th bottle within 10 seconds, you can let us know. That's supposed to be humorous, sorry.
I get it. So if somebody's healthy, what would be the marketing piece or what would be our... Well,
personally, if somebody comes in here who's healthy, I would probably give them the 250 bottle, maybe a shot twice a day, and I don't even count the drops. I just say dip it in, take it out, and put it under your tongue. There you go. Because, I mean, the extra few drops are not going to hurt you. They're just not going to do it, and it's wonderful. And as far as I've seen, and this may cover someone else's question as well, which a friend of mine asked me, she's also one of your representatives, Elizabeth Ioroni. She said, is there any interaction with the stuff with other medications? And my answer would be no, because all it really does is create homeostasis, and what it does is reduce inflammation, which may or may not make other drugs more effective.
Okay. What about somebody that does have diabetes?
Well, it's safe for diabetics. In fact, it helps to relax and balance the digestion, and there are many new theories out there for the past 5 years that believe diabetes is actually more of a digestive problem having to do with the stomach and the spleen than actually the brain. And another thing that Beth said before, which is very, very important, she was talking about calming down the neurons and the neurological system. And what this does is it adds an extra oil into your system to help rebuild the myelin sheath around the nerve endings, going and giving signals not only to the brain but the rest of the organs to actually balance it. So I would definitely use this for somebody who's diabetic, absolutely.
Okay.
For dogs, too.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Daryl. Okay, our next caller, your phone number ends in 1555.
Yes, good afternoon. This is Terry Taylor. You already answered my question with the showing up in the blood test, so I don't need to ask that. So I'll just add that I've used the moisturizer when I was at the convention in New Orleans, and it lasted through like 6 hand washings. So that's all I have to add. This stuff is awesome. Absolutely awesome. Thank you.
I agree.
Thanks, Terry. Okay, our next caller, because I want to get through as many callers as I can. Your phone number ends in 1894.
Hello, my name is Myrtle. I think I heard someone say that it was U.S. government certified. I didn't know if you meant the dropper itself, or if you meant the ingredients in the bottle. And then I have another part to that question. So did you say that, or did I miss something?
It's HDC, Scientific and Clinic Research, sponsored by the U.S. government for the ingredients.
for the ingredients. So the ingredients. Okay, then. Is that on the website? I'll go and check it out to be sure, because I have some people who've asked me about that.
No, actually, everything that we have been discussing on this call so far will be, because this is a recorded call, we are going to actually match it right up to some slides, and it's going to be published within the next couple of days on 5 Links TV. So everything we're talking about now you'll see on our slides, and you'll be able to see everything we talked about.
Okay, I don't know. I don't have the bottle that I took, and I'm on hypertensive medication, and it does have green coffee in it for the source of caffeine, which gave me tachycardia. So I wanted to know, is that unusual, or when I tell people about the product that you take orally, that the results are anecdotal, that there's just that we haven't done any real study on it, because I did get tachycardia.
I can handle that if you'd like.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to let you do that one.
Anything in the world that has any type of caffeine in it has to be used carefully with somebody with a hyper heartbeat neurological connection, when the AV valve tells the heart to beat faster. So my suggestion is that you start with a drop, okay? Or if you have to, you put it in water or juice and start with a half a drop. Shake it up and then take half of that. And as your body gets used to it, the anti-inflammatory properties of the HTC I can only say may because it's hypothetical and it's medical, and I'm not a doctor, may start to balance your vascular system, taking away the inflammation, and allow your pressure to become normalized without causing a reaction in your heart. Because anything that's an energy drink, which would be, let's say this is pretty much the opposite of, or actually unique in the product line, anything that's an energy drink can always do that to anyone who has that sensitivity. Okay? So you always have to be careful with that.
Okay. No, my question was more that as a rep, we should let everybody know, too, that this is anecdotal information.
Well, of course it is. I mean, anything that's, yeah. It's all anecdotal except for the fact that it is FDA certified, which is a fact. But even when a doctor speaks to you in his office, he calls it anecdotal information as well, even to cover himself. And I'm saying that any time I speak to any one of my clients, I also always say this or that can happen, although it's rare. And it's up to them to make the decision whether or not to experiment or try with it. But any one of the other products should not do this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question. Our next caller, your phone number is 6125.
Good morning, Beth, Rebecca, Fashad. Thank you for this great call. I've been waiting for this. I just want to give, first of all, just give a little bit of a testimony. I took the capsules for about 5 days and noticed that I was experiencing quite an increase in appetite, sluggish, sleepy. So I realized that, the capsules was too much for my system and that I probably need to go to the drops or the tinctures and like you said, start small. I love the anti-inflammatory benefits. I also wanted to mention that, you talked about the ladies liking the moisturizing cream. And, I just want to say that we shouldn't leave the men out because I'm trying it myself and seeing incredible results, really amazed by that cream. And lastly, I'd just like to ask you to talk about, I hear a lot of people out there. For some people, this, CBD is new. They don't have much knowledge about marijuana. So I hear people talking about marijuana because it does come up in conversation the minute you mention hemp, CBD, the whole THC component. People are talking about marijuana as a hallucinogen. And it's always been my understanding that marijuana is not a hallucinogen like LSD, psilocybin, some of those other, it's almost like calling it a narcotic, which it's not. But as far as calling it a hallucinogen, I feel like if we're going out there talking about it, we should have, we should sound as knowledgeable as we can. And
would you like me to answer that?
To that? Yes.
Would you like me to answer that?
Yeah, definitely, Rebecca. I think this is
a little deviation because we're not talking about the HDC here, but marijuana itself is not, I wouldn't call it a hallucinogen either. What I would say, though, that if you take, for instance, the indica, which gets deep into your consciousness, it can bring out fears, and it can bring out deep-seated stuff that you didn't even know was there or haven't visited for many, many years. And because of that, it can seem somewhat like a hallucinogen. I had a client once who was on, not this one, thank God, but he actually took the real indica, and he thought the sidewalks were caving in on him, and later on we found out that he had an earthquake experience. So it takes things out and brings them to the surface, some stuff that you have experienced, and it actually brings it up. And some of these things can be quite powerful and fearful for people. I have not seen that in the products that we are using. And the fact is, I have not had the experience. I only heard it from one other person that their appetite increased and they would get tired. Everybody else seems to be getting more energy and sees less need for eating. So they've actually been losing weight on it. So I guess that depends on your individual chemistry.
Yeah. Let's also add that the psychoactive components of marijuana that give it what you're describing are
not in our stuff.
That comes from THC.
Exactly.
So when we say oxygen is THC free, it means that none of the psychoactive negatives that are associated with marijuana have anything to do with oxygen. That's a really important point.
Which is why we feel very safe when we give this to our people. Our clients become our friends, and you certainly want to treat your friends and family right,
Yes, definitely.
Thank you. Rebecca, could you just say again what it is that you do and your
Well, I have a what you would call a holistic place here. You could call it a healing clinic. You could call it a lot of things, but it's basically people get together, we exchange information, we exchange technologies, and I try to help people to rebalance their systems and to get their lives back. And one of the major things would be, of course, reducing inflammation. I am a licensed massage therapy and physical healer. I do about 50 different modalities that are licensed and certified, not only in New York State, but in the United States. And I have lectured doctors and naturopaths and people all over not just the United States, but in France and Iceland and India, where people fly me out to do things for that. And I do a lot of studies. I love science, et cetera, and that's why I really love this product, because I see it's actually fulfilling a need that we've had for quite some time here, and safely.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Okay, so let's go to our next caller. Your phone number ends in 0215.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for hosting this call. I appreciate it. That was actually my brother on the call speaking prior to me. That's kind of funny. Anyway, quick question. Is this call being recorded? And you may have said it already.
Yes, it's being recorded, and it will be actually created into a video with slides to go with this portion of it. So you'll get to see and hear everything.
Oh, excellent. Okay. And quick testimony, I'm in love with the healing cream. I have back issues, like major back issues, and I used it for the first time a few weeks ago, and I felt like my back was about to go out, and normally it would take a couple days of Motrin and ice and sometimes of ibuprofen or two, and I used the cream one time in the morning, and that was it. It kind of cleared everything up. So I'm so excited. Thank you all.
Great testimony. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next caller, your phone number is 8442.
Hello, Thomas Adams here, Las Vegas.
Hi, Thomas.
Morning, and I thank you for the call. My question deals with, well, the last caller answered that, but I'd like to find out, is there a callback number so I can repeat?
No, there will not be a callback number. This is strictly going to be a recorded webinar, after everything is said and done, so you'll be able to watch it online.
Okay. My other question is, it deals with Parkinson's, dementia, and Alzheimer's. I have a cousin that just started shaking about 6-8 months ago on Parkinson's. I would like to know if there's a formula in products in combination that would benefit him, and dementia also Alzheimer's.
I can answer that if you'd like. I'm not calling this a formula, okay? Because I'm not a doctor, I can't create a formula. But I will say that if you use the HDC, I would actually start with the 1,000 in this case, seriously, because many clinics, including the Mayo, have been doing studies regarding ALS, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, autism. I mean, it just goes on because it's all neurological, and a lot of this is caused by inflammation and the reduction of the mylar sheath fatty acid from the brain. And the HDC helps to start the replacement of that mylar sheath fatty acid into the brain neurons. So it would be very, very helpful with that. What I would also do is make sure dietarily, and I don't want to stray too much with this at the moment because I've had many cases like this that have reversed, is I would get rid of all carbohydrates from the diet, go ketogenic, and rebuild the system. Also, heavy metals have to go. But the HDC is incredibly helpful with this. I would start with the higher potency one, and you can even put the creams around the scalp near the neck for skin absorption as well, and even at the soles of the feet. It will get it into the system, it will help the system absorb it, and the body will heal faster.
Scalp and feet.
As well, any soft tissue under the armpit, by the lymphatic system, under the breast areas, men and women, but also I would use the 1,000 OXZGEN, absolutely.
Okay, I've applied some. I met my cousin last weekend in Los Angeles, and I rubbed some on his shoulders. He was having pain there, and he indicated it was helping him, but I haven't been able to talk to him since then. I will definitely start with I should suggest to him the tincture cream and the ointment. Now, does that apply to dementia and Alzheimer's, the same combination?
It's all the same causes, so I would start with that. I'm not a doctor, as I said, but I would, if you feel more comfortable, go to your doctor and ask him about it, and I'm sure if he's up on the research, he will tell you to go ahead with it.
Okay. I appreciate your information. God bless.
Thank you. We just got an actual question from Nelson. He sent it in to us, and he asked us to check with Rebecca. What about this product and children? Do you want to just focus a little bit on
Yes, I do. I have a great testimony on that. I absolutely. In fact, there's a father, I think, of one of these children who may be on the line listening to this now. He's also a 5 Links representative. No names, but his son was being chastised at school for being lazy or tired or not interested, and he was in danger of being thrown out of the school or left back or whatever it is they do these days. And we tried an experiment on him. Since his father is a rep, he decided to allow 3 sprays of the energy boost to be allowed to be put under his tongue. And we've done this for a couple of days in a row, and now his teacher is praising him for his alertness, his feedback, and his interest in the topics. And I think that is phenomenal. And if I were giving this to a child, I would probably use, as I said, 2 to 3 drops of it because of the weight. And if they need more, you can tell as you go along. But it's really helping their kid with these studies. It's amazing.
Oh, great information. Thank you.
I think so.
So let's go to our next caller. Your phone number ends in 0017.
Hello, this is Cherie in Chicago, and thank you so much for this call. I had a question regarding the servings and time of consumption. For example, is there a recommendation that certain of our products are best when taken early in the morning, or certain products work better if they're taken with a meal, before a meal, or after a meal? Those kinds of issues.
Okay. Can I do that, or do you want to do that?
Oh, no, that's definitely a good one for you because I know you've had more experience with those kinds of things.
Okay, the capsules, in my opinion, would be better with some kind of fat consumed at the same time because the powder of this type of stuff always works better with a fat emollient to get it into the bloodstream and past the liver and have it work well, okay, with the digestion because the liver is a major digestive organ. The drops, in my opinion, the tinctures, I would put them directly under the tongue anywhere between 2 to 3 times a day because 3 times a day keeps the constant blood level in the brain and in the circulation with almost any kind of nutrition, daily vitamin, whatever it is that you're taking, and it would do the same with this. Some people have a schedule, of course, where they can't do that, so for them we recommend it twice a day. But you can use a smaller amount 3 times a day or even the same amount because it's not going to give you a toxic effect in 99% of the cases.
Okay. So then, besides the capsule, there is no need to think about anything like you have to eat before you consume.
No, you don't even really have to think about that with the capsule. I just think that if you take it with something that's slightly fatty, like a hamburger or chicken or even an avocado, it just might make it more effective. That's all. You don't even really have to do that, but it can make it more effective.
Great. I'm looking forward to call 2. Hint, hint, Beth.
We'll see what we can do for you.
Thanks so much.
Okay.
Hey, Beth, before we go to the next caller, I'm getting a number of emails pertaining to the last question about the use of HTC or oxygen with kids. Specifically, could you provide some clarity? It looks like some parents had been recommended for their kids to use HTC products for sports and athletics, whether it be the pain cream or any of the tinctures. What do you recommend there? Do you recommend that they have dialogue with a pediatrician first? Do you find the products to be safe? The products to be safe for use with children?
I think that any time a parent decides to give anything to a child, and this is legal, that you should always speak to the pediatrician first. From the parents that have been, let's say, experimenting with it with their own children because it is non-toxic anyway, they've had great results with the energy boost spray for the, like I said, the school acuity, the brain enhancement. It's actually brought up their IQ, or it seems to be, or maybe they're just more interested because they have more energy. It could be that. And they've also used it when they've gone out and played soccer games, and they've had more attentiveness and higher scores with it. So I don't see where that would be a problem. And for the children who have had, let's say, things like Tourette's or tics, it seems to be holding that down, even though it doesn't have THC in it. And THC was supposed to be the active ingredient that did that. However, I believe that because of the anti-inflammatory reactions, that it's definitely going to work on that as well. I think that was just a myth because it's working on it now.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to try to squeeze in 2 more callers, hopefully at the most. But our next caller, your phone number ends in 0076.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Nicole.
Hi, guys. How you doing? I appreciate the call. Thomas Adams is one of mine. I'm very proud of his question. He's been asking me, and I told him he's got to ask the expert. So, Rebecca, thank you for getting on. I remember speaking to you a while ago, and what you have taught me was when people approach us, to say to them, if I was you, this is what I would try.
Exactly.
And that has really been an effective tool that you have gave us, so we are grateful.
Thank
the other
you.
thing that we're running across is that when you guys do these calls and we are grateful, I then get text messages because of the high-tech verbiage. Some people don't understand exactly what is being said. That's number one. Number two, will there be anything that we can reference to that's in simple form that says if someone has diabetes, this may work. If someone has dementia, this may work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
It definitely makes sense. That's something I would need to have a conversation with Rebecca after the call, maybe, or in the next couple of days.
No, I can prepare something
what we could possibly prepare something. Yeah, and then would make it pretty on our side with marketing. So that'll be something the three of us will discuss after the call, and we'll kind of give you guys, once we have it, we'll post it to the site.
Yeah, if you guys can do that, that's absolutely amazing. Just real quick, last night we had a meeting and had a phenomenal meeting. We did a BOM, and the gentleman was there, and he had a little bit of back pain, and we put the cream on his back, and then we sprayed the pain relief onto his tongue. In about a minute and a half, he starts jumping up and saying, "I have no more pain. Check this out, babe." And he's talking to his wife. So it was amazing. And the personal testimony is when I was in New Orleans, because I travel a lot now, I inflated my disc in my back because I have 6-foot disc in my back. Nelson gave me a little bit of the cream, and in a minute and a half, I was able to walk. So in the West Coast side or the Vegas side, we don't have an issue selling the cream or the moisturizer. It's just that. So if you guys can work on just that simple document that says, well, if you have this, this may work. Or if you have this, this may work. That would be such a home run.
Definitely.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Nicole. Okay,
Thanks, Nicole.
Next, I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm going to take one more call, only because we kind of have we want to try to end this call within an hour. So, and I know you guys all have a lot of things you need to get back to. So our last caller, your phone number is 8674.
Hi, my name is Andrea Faison. I missed some of the pain cream information because the phone actually just went blank, and I was trying to get some information concerning the pain cream because I didn't hear the question, and I'm sure it may be allergy tested, all of the creams, and that was another question of mine.
Yeah, definitely. First off, I know Rebecca will agree with me because her and I've had this conversation. You should always test everything, just, to make sure you don't have an allergy to something in it. Be it just a little drop, even the tinctures, you can put a little drop on your arm.
Absolutely.
Make sure there is no allergic reaction because we certainly wouldn't want you to ever, number one, ingest anything that causes an allergic reaction or put a topical cream on yourself that would cause that. So always a small little drop, maybe like on a spot on your arm where nobody's really going to see, but you'll be able to tell if any reactions have happened. So that's definitely
like if you put it on your the underarm, let's say that's not quite in the pit, but just below the pit on your actual arm itself. If you don't break out within 2 hours, you're fine.
Okay. And then my daughter, she's 21 now, and when she was 4, she contracted viral meningitis. I've really been looking for something. She's actually a miracle child. I walked out of the hospital with her at 4 years old, and she couldn't walk or talk. And so, but now she's doing those things. She's actually started college in January. And so what I'm asking is, with her having a history of cognitive disorder, her memory, and she's in school, and so she has a problem with remembering, like if she studies or whatever.
I can address that very quickly if you'd like.
Yes.
I know they have limited time here. The first thing I would do if it was me or my child is I would use the 500 drops on that consistently. Probably, in my opinion, I would use it every 2 hours on my child. I would also, again, what I mean by mylar sheath, and I've mentioned that before, is the fatty coating between your brain and the neuron. That's what it is. It's fatty coating like the rubber around a wire. And she has had that destroyed because of her injury. Right. And if you do this as well as a higher fat diet which has no carbs in it, she can start to regrow that fatty coating around her neurons, and it can actually help to bring up her cognizance. And I would probably, for my child, use the 500 and go ahead. You were going to say something? I'm sorry. Beth?
No, I'm listening to you, and I want to be respectful, and I don't want you guys to go over your time, but perhaps you guys can do this again, because I did have some more questions, but as I stated, I will respect the time, and so I'll just save my questions for later if possible.
Go ahead with your other questions. I know these are very important topics. Go ahead.
Okay, so the pain cream, is it just a temporary solution for your pain? Because I have come into contact with people that have had injuries, like they even had surgeries for their knee surgery because they were having major pain. And so I'm saying if people, because I hear a lot of people too that don't want surgery. And so
right.
Could this be something temporary for them?
It is temporary. I would couple it with one of the I would cover one of the HDC drops, tinctures, because this is the best one out there. I would definitely do that because it would start to correct the inside injury as well as the cream, putting a Band-Aid on the outside. I would definitely use them, together. And then what I would also do is help to get stress away from the system because although the tinctures, the HDC will actually help with your stress system anyway. So we'll start to repair the situation. You should also go on an anti-inflammation diet, which we can't get into now because there's not enough time, but definitely that should help. And yes, the cream is temporary, but the tinctures are, let's say, continuously rebuilding. And that's why you need both.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, one's a quick fix, one's an actual eventual repair. That's the difference.
Yes, Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you. Beth, I know we're pressed for time. I know there's a number of callers still left. Let's add two more questions and then we'll wrap up. Beth,
hello.
Are you still on?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Sure can.
Hey, this is Dr. Brewster in Tennessee.
Dr. Brewster, how are you?
Great, thanks. Can the drops be put in a hot beverage? And I didn't know if the heat would, destroy the effects of anything, because you didn't mention it could be put in coffee or tea.
Can I answer
Rebecca,
that?
you want to take that?
Oh, yeah. In fact, I not only think it can be put in a hot beverage, but because of the nature of the plant itself, it's been shown historically that almost every single part of this plant has its effectiveness enhanced by heat.
Okay, good.
So, yeah. Okay.
All right. And then a potential customer about the cream and brought up the THC and explained to him how it was THC-free, but he said his job also, when they do tests at his job, they don't just look for THC, but they do a cannabis test. So imagine
honestly, if they're checking for CBD, it will come out positive because if you're drinking apple juice and they check you for apple juice, it's going to come out positive. You have to find out what's on the test and ask them that if CBD or HDC is actually federally approved and recognized, why they're even testing you that since it's not considered an illegal drug. Challenge them with it. I would.
Yeah, I would. Let me add to this because I've had folks in law enforcement ask this as well. CBD is one of 120 cannabinoids.
Yeah, seriously.
So you really want to ask if they're this sensitive to it. You really want to ask what specifically is the test testing for, because if it's testing for THC, they're perfectly fine and they'll pass. However, if it's testing for CBD, then they're gonna test positive because this is CBD. It does contain CBD.
I love that answer. That was brilliant. Thank you. I have to use that.
Very good. And then one last thing is not so much as a question as it is a suggestion. I know, like on the bottle, it says that it's a supplement, and it tells you how you can take it in terms of the pills, but it does not tell you what it's a supplement for or what it can help. And I think that would be helpful when no.
Not in today's atmosphere. Well, you tell them this. It's very simple. You tell them to look up the properties of this particular substance and think. Use their minds. What does it mean when you get rid of inflammation? What does it mean when you reach homeostasis? You're balanced. What does that do? It heals your body, period.
That's what I'll say.
That's what I say.
Thank you so much for the call.
Okay, thanks, Jasper. Okay, here's our last caller now, 4949.
Yes, good afternoon, Tashad, Beth, and Rebecca. Thank you for this call. This is Sam from Fort Lauderdale.
Hey, Sam.
Hi, Sam.
How you doing? I got a quick question. It's probably running off Dr. Bruce's question. You say heat make it more effective?
I believe it does.
Okay. Can you...
I'm not talking about 150 million degrees here. I'm talking, just maybe below, just if you warm it and put it in a toddy or coffee or tea, it may even be enhanced because, first of all, it would break down the molecular structure. We could actually get it into your system faster. Well, even if you heated the bottle. I'm not talking about majorly roasting the product.
Oh, okay. So it's probably you can't use this in a vapor.
You may be able to use it in a vapor machine. That's usually done by vibration today, or, it's not always done by heat vapor machines today anymore.
Okay.
You probably could even put it in a boiling pot of water, quite frankly, and it would still be effective.
Okay. But I'm talking like a vape that you smoke, the vapor, that way most people, because I've been vaping actually CBD oil for like 4 years.
Well, you may be able to do that with it as well, only you would also get the flavoring with it, which is fine, too. I don't see how that can hurt you at all.
Awesome. That's great. And
there's a new way of using it. Put it in an electronic cigarette. It sounds great to me.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yes, that's what I've been doing for years, and I honestly, the CBD, I find it very effective, extremely effective now. So I'm extremely excited that now we have the ACC. So this is something I would love to work with. Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for the comments. Yeah, folks, we know we have a lot of folks with a lot more questions. We are going to have to end the call, but Beth and I will work towards scheduling other subsequent calls so that we can get the other questions answered. But I will remind everyone again that this call and the webinar will be available as a video. It is recorded, so we'll work quickly to put that together and put that out as well.
Definitely. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We really do appreciate it. And, Rebecca, thank you so much for your wealth of knowledge, your to me, honestly, I look at you as like my guru when it comes to anything, any of these products. And you've given me knowledge that I never had before, and I really do appreciate it.
Thank you. God is my guru, but I thank you so much for the honor of hearing that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your participation, Rebecca. It's much appreciated.
Thank you, Fasad.
All right, folks. Thanks, and this concludes today's call.
Okay. Thank you.
God bless everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Yes.